Welcome to Release Your Inner Power and Boost Your Week with Ignited Decisions podcast. I'm Shauna B., a life and mindset coach, here to help busy women like you find time, happiness, and ways to fill themselves up in your everyday life. Each week, we dive into real-life challenges, from being a mom to career changes to taking time for yourself, recharging, and personal growth, so you can take action and create this part of your life right now that you truly love. Ready to make this week better than the last? Let's get started. Welcome to Release Your Inner Power podcast. I have a wonderful guest that I'm so excited to get into this conversation today. His name is Daniel Jackson. Welcome, Daniel, to the show.
Thank you for having me on the show today. I'm pleased to be here.
I love this. So Daniel is a medium, and I kind of want to dive in. I have a lot of curious questions, but tell me a little bit about yourself and what you share with the world, and we'll dive into how far back you started noticing things.
Sure. My name is Daniel Jackson. I go by Spirit Medium Daniel. I don't call myself psychic because when you call yourself psychic, then people start asking you, what am I thinking now? And I tell them, well, I don't know what you're thinking now. But anyway, I bring to the world, I try to bring some peace of mind and clarity, but what I bring is direction. I give people direction in their lives because they need direction most of the time. They just don't know where they're going or what they're doing, or they're trying to figure out their purpose. And one of the topics that I usually talk about is why we are here and what is our purpose. Because your purpose is not just becoming a doctor, or lawyer, or teacher, or anything like that. That is just an occupational choice. Your purpose is we're here to help each other just for the sake of helping, not because you can, but because you should, in a way where it's a physical way, where you're helping someone to do something they can absolutely not do for themselves physically, or you're trying to help them figure it out. But that's what I do.
I love that. Can you tell me a little bit about your life and where that started, like how far back that started for you and things, your little story about your journey of discovering that?
It started, I remember seeing spirit as far back as being 3 years old, but my whole family was seeing them. We lived in a little town in New Jersey near the Delaware River, and I had a park there. But it was a battlefield where the Hessians fought. And so everyone around that part of the neighborhood was experiencing spirit. But then by the time I was 17, my parents and my one brother moved down to Delaware. And at that point, no one was really seeing them as much. My other brother and sister were back in New Jersey. But I was always seeing spirit all the time. And I have seen them throughout my entire life. It never turned off. It never went away, as well as now. It never turns off and never goes away. There's not a point in my life at all now that I don't ever not see spirit all day long. It doesn't turn off. It doesn't go away. Just as an example, for you, what color are the walls that are behind you?
They're like a light yellow color.
For you, they are that color, but I see that, and I see a mist of blue in them as well. I see a mist of blue in the paintings. I see a mist of blue in you, even in the black top that you're wearing. That mist of blue that I see that never turns off for me is the veil. I see the veil 24/7, whether I have my eyes open or closed. I see a lot more spirit when I have my eyes closed. So just imagine that, seeing thousands of people in front of you, thousands of people. But I don't just see people. I see dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, other beings from other worlds. I see everything all the time. So try to close your eyes and go to sleep when you see 1,000 people staring at you.
Yeah.
Good luck. Right.
Yeah, right.
And that's what my life is like.
How did you, I mean, you've had a lot of practice, but how did you, when you started seeing this, were you always okay and like ease with it? Or was it ever, what is going on here and why is this happening? Did you have a period of trying to understand what was happening?
Yeah, when I was growing up, it was okay because my two brothers and my sister, my mom and dad were there to comfort me as well as we were all seeing them all together. As I got older, more things started happening. And then it was right before I was turning 50 years old. My wife went away on vacation for 2 weeks. And for those 2 weeks, I saw everything you could ever imagine in a scary movie happening in my home. And when my wife returned, she told me about her adventures in California, and then I told her about mine. which were in Delaware, and it frightened her even a little bit because I'd told her stories before, but not to this extent. But even I wasn't seeing everything to this extent at that point. And so that was a little unnerving. We were just trying to find answers, and we did everything you would think to do, would go on the internet and look for answers. And, but we got all the bullcrap answers out there, like put some salt around your room. The only thing that that does is make your room salty. It doesn't do anything for you. Or you could
Right.
put up some crosses, let me put up a cross here and there. Well, the cross is a form of punishment. So how do you think you're going to make something evil go away with a form of punishment? You're not. Okay. But we did everything that we could. And I sought out a paranormal group to come to my house. And by the time they got finished at my house, they quit. They wouldn't even come back to my house because they got so afraid of what was going on in my house. But as it turns out, it wasn't the house. It's me. It's wherever I go. So it took a while to figure it out. It eventually came out to me meeting. I found 5 different mediums. None of them knew each other, and every one of them told me the same story about me. But it was one in particular whose show I went to, who helped me to find out that, hey, I had to have a talk with God and decide if I was going to move forward with this. And when she said that, I said, move forward to what? And she said, oh, you're just an untrained medium. So it was at that point I said, okay, well, I'm gonna find out what's going on here. So I did go home and have that talk with him. And from that talk, everything changed at that point. And I eventually met a group of professional mediums they were putting this group together, and they helped me to develop this. And that took about a year and a half to develop everything. But as I move along from that, my ability progresses pretty much every day. So at this point, I'm just used to it now. But the things that I see, the things that I hear, and the things that I witness, you wouldn't be able to see on a TV show. They wouldn't be able to show it. But you don't want to see it anyway. Because in order to have this ability that I have and the connection that I do, you have to be open to everything.
Mhm.
And not everything is pleasant, not by any means. I have seen some things that look like I'm watching the worst horror film you could ever watch that you could never see in a movie or on TV because they wouldn't be able to show these types of things. And it doesn't go away. It's not something you can turn off. It just happens until it stops happening. So it's very difficult was at times to get used to it, but now I'm just used to it and I see these things and I just watch it and go, okay. I mean, what else can you do?
Mhm.
Nothing.
Do you think so? I have a couple questions. When
Sure.
you see these things, are they clear? Like you are watching a movie, or
Yes,
do they come to
absolutely.
you in different forms and you just know what that means?
No, no,
Okay,
it's absolutely clear, like watching a movie. I mean, do you want me to describe anything?
sure.
Okay. So I saw these beings one time in front of me. This is when I found out that so when you cross over and you leave this body, you either cross over into the light or you remain here as an earthbound spirit. It's basically a low energy realm place. And if you are still there, if you remain earthbound, these beings there, they all still feel pain, actual pain. That doesn't make a difference. You're still in energy. And you're in this low energy place. So I saw these beings walk around. If you've ever seen a murder mystery, where you'll see the body there, and the cops come up and they do an outline of the person on the floor. Well, I saw these beings that were standing in this place. They were outline beings. They didn't have any facial features or any distinguishable things in their bodies that made them look like a human. They were outline beings, and the outline was white, and then it would glow from white to yellow to red. When I see red, then I know that it is a negative being, what people will refer to as demons. There's no such thing as demons. These people uh, they just gnaw at me. And then I saw these little squiggly lines inside of them, also going from white to yellow to red. And then these beings were walking around, grabbing other people's souls and punching and kicking the crap out of them. Okay. One of them, the biggest one I saw, he was about 8 feet tall, walked up to a guy and put his hands around his neck and was squeezing his neck. And basically, I saw his eyes popping out of his head, and it looked like the guy's choking. Now, I know he's not choking physically because he can't breathe, but he is still strangling him, and his tongue was coming out, and his eyes were coming out. And then they were punching and kicking these things, and you could see they were feeling this pain because they would go and grunt and all this stuff. The people they were beating up. And then what they would do is they would, once they got a control of them, they would drag them off into the deep dark realms of the low energy realm. It's not hell. They are not torturing anybody for something that they did here as a human. They are torturing them so that they can collect energy off of them because that's what these negative energies do. So, and then the biggest, tallest one came over and walked over to me. And he said to me, looked at me, I said, you're not going to get anything from me, buddy. And I said, if you don't get out of here, I'm going to tell my family to mojo your butt out of here. And when I mean family, I mean archangels. They're not men with wings and shields and swords by any means. And they are around me all the time, and they protect me from these things. And he looked around like this and looked around, and then his two buddies walked over, and he looked at them, and I heard him say, because anything that speaks to me or around me, I hear as English. Even if a dog talks around me or to me, I hear it as English. And he said to these things, we can't get anything here, let's go. And then they turned around and walked away. That's what I see.
Okay.
And you can't do anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
You're
Right.
you're a physical being looking
Right.
at a non-physical world. You have no control over anything to do anything for them. But it's not that I feel sorry for those beings that were getting attacked there, because I don't, because they chose to be where they are. They could have chosen and gone home, but they did not. They chose to be where they are.
What do you mean by chose to be where they are?
You don't you there's no one can hold a place for you. No one can keep you from going or save a place for you where you go from here. So in other words, once you rise up out of your body, you're going to stand up out of your body. You're going to look down and go, huh, I don't need that anymore. You take a step to the left, you look to the right, and a light will turn on for you. And that light is a portal for you to go into what we call heaven. Or if you don't go in, you would remain here as an earthbound, this low energy place. But where you go is your choice. No one can make that choice for you. No one can keep you from going to heaven, as they say in religion. Oh, you're not going to go there. No, they can't keep you from going anywhere. They're people. They have nothing to do with the non-physical anymore. But if you go into the light, you do. But some of them choose not to go into the light and they stay here. Well, that's their choice. That's what I mean by it.
Okay. So when you were talking earlier about archangels, when did you know? I guess because it's so crystal clear for you, you can tell the difference between low energy and an archangel because they look very different, right? And
Yes, yeah,
interactions are very different. So it's easier for you to see, to know which is good or bad, or low
yeah,
energy, if you will.
yes, because the ones are the good energies glow a certain like bluish, white, purplish color, whereas the negative energies always glow red.
Okay,
Now,
interesting.
not everything that is in that lower energy realm is a bad energy. It's just they made a choice to be there and not go into heaven. Because what happens is when you wake up out of your body, you're going to get perfect memories of your lifetime here. Plus, you're going to get perfect memories of all your other lifetimes. So when you know you've been here maybe 26, 29 times, you're going to know if you walk into that light, there's a possibility you may have to come back and do this all over again. And maybe you don't want to. So maybe because you know sometimes some of your lives have been very hard, but you do stand up out of your body. Once you stand up out of your body, all that pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt kind of is put to the side a little bit to see where you're going to go. And then if you walk into the light, it all washes away. If you stay here, it just remains with you.
Interesting. That's got to be busy, yeah. Seeing all of the life in front of you, but then also seeing all the energy beings and the things around. It's a lot of people in your space. Things in your space.
I'm because I am more than less in all realms at all times.
Yeah. Does it ever seem
I
overwhelming or is there
it can be sometimes, especially when I'm trying to go to sleep. But yeah, it can be a little bit overwhelming. But again, it's all for a higher reason, a higher purpose, so that I can get answers for people. Because the reason I get answers is because one of the main things I do for archangels and for God is I cross spirit over into the light and enable so that I can do that. I have archangels with me to protect me from everything. So so none of those bad beings can actually walk up to me and touch me, pinch me, or scratch me like you see some people doing these in these ghost shows and stuff like that. They can't do that to me. I can walk into any super duper haunted house and nothing evil can scratch me or touch me or poke me or pinch me or anything. They can't even come up to me that close. So when I'm crossing spirit over, if those beings are around me, archangels will keep them away from me so that I can cross the spirit over. But not everything wants to cross over. I've come across many and many different beings and people and animals and things that don't want to cross over. They are fine where they are. But I still have to give them the opportunity to do that. And then sometimes they ask me questions. And because they ask me questions, I got to get answers. So I talk to archangels. They tell me what I need to know. I relay it back to the spirit. And if they're okay with that, then I cross them over. But because I can get answers for spirit, I can also get answers for people. Why? Because all people have a spirit inside of them. That's why.
Mm-hmm. So when somebody wants to work with you, how does that, can you walk us through a process of how that works?
Sure. Well, they would go on my website. They would look at the different types of readings that I offer. I offer a couple of different kinds. One is some people just like to talk to me and want to find out information about spirit. I've done that before. I have no problem doing it. But 9 times out of 10, they're completely surprised at what they hear. It's not like it is on TV and movies. Most of that stuff is a bunch of bullcrap. But some of it is horrible. Does everybody want to hear that? Because
Right.
once I tell it to you, it's like you can't. Someone told me a saying one time that stands out very well. You can't unring a bell. So if you don't really want to hear about it, you may think you have a fascination and you want to hear it, but I guarantee, even most mediums that I know, they don't see what I see. They're just not meant to because they don't have the connection I do. But in order to have that again, I have to be open to see everything. I talk to other mediums, they don't see what I see. So they come to me and they will get that information, or they will come to me because they want an actual reading where they're trying to find out some answers about themselves. But as I say this now, I'll say this, I say this all the time. If you're looking to find your soulmate, go to some other circus act and let them help you. I don't do that because that's a bunch of bullcrap. But most people don't even understand what a soulmate is. You are back at home. We all come from the same place, the soul family. We are all together. Everyone there is your soulmate. So everyone here is too. We're all from the same family, but some of us just have a better connection with each other. And the two of you, maybe do two or three, or maybe 10 of you are there in heaven. You all have to come back here and then you all meet up again. That's your soulmate could be your mom and dad. It could be your best friend. It could be a dog or a cat. But people want to think, but the only reason they want to think that is because all these other fake mediums out there want you to believe it. It's absolutely going to be someone you're going to fall in love with. I even met a woman one time, and she told me, "Oh, I met my soulmate, Daniel." I said, "No, I don't. No, you didn't." "No, yes, I did." "No, yeah." "Oh, well, you don't know. He's so wonderful." Blah blah blah. And then 2 years later, when I meet up with her again, I said, "Hey, how's that soulmate going?" "Oh, that piece of crap. He was cheating on me." Blah, blah, blah. I said, "Yes, soulmates don't do that." So are you going to listen to me now? Yes, I will. Okay, I will give you peace of mind and clarity, but I will give you direction in your lives. That's what I will do, so that you can fulfill your purpose and get your lessons learned, so you can go home and stay home and not have to come back here again. If that's something you want, get in contact with me. Or I also do readings with other mediums who have a similar ability to mine that would be working with archangels, and they will now at that point be working for God. So I will do that reading with them so that I can explain to them everything that has to take place in their lives in order to move forward. But you would already be a medium at that point, not just a supposed medium. So you would come to me for that, and I would help you with that. But that's the different types of readings that I do. But other than that, you can find me everywhere. Look up Spirit Medium Daniel Jackson. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm here to help people, but I'm here to help people with truth. I'm not going to bullshit them with a bunch of crap that they want to hear because, as I always tell people, you may not get the reading that you want, but you will get the reading that you need. And if that's what you really need in your life, then you come to me. But I said, but again, if you want to go around with all these, oh, how many cars am I going to have and how many boats am I going to have and all that stuff, then you go to some other circus act because I ain't doing that shit.
Yeah. Well, that's all material.
Yeah,
That's
it
not a
is.
lesson. That's not a
Yeah.
lesson, right?
No, that's not a lesson. That's a bunch of BS. That's what that is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Life,
Yeah.
we're not here to have 6 cars and 7 houses and 10 boats. And if you think that's what your life is all about, you better think again. It's not.
Yeah. That's got to be really interesting being in the position that you're in too, with people reaching out to you and asking you all sorts of questions. Do you just tell them like right up front, like you just said, I'm going to give you the truth and you may not like it? Because I do think that for the most part, I don't know if people really think about that there is, good and bad, and that you can have both of them. And when you come to something like you to have a reading, like you said, you're going to have the truth. But sometimes I think people just don't think about that. Like they think that when they go to a medium, they're going to get all their answers and they're going to, just ask the question and it's going to be all like, I guess, rainbows and sunshine. Do you
Yeah, I don't
find
do,
that you get that a lot, or do you think,
yeah, I don't do rainbows and unicorns and everything is love and light. I give them the absolute truth. I mean, I can tell you about an example I just did recently if you want.
sure.
So I had a woman come up to me and she sat down and we started off the reading with her just asking a couple questions, but then she got into it and she said this question. She said, "So am I going to have grandchildren?" And I said, "No, you're not going to have grandchildren." And she said, "No, I'm not." I said, "No, you're not." I said, "Do you want to know the long answer, the real answer, or do you want me to give you the BS answer?" And she said, "I want to hear the real answer." I said, "Good." I said, "Okay." I said, "The reason you're not going to have any grandchildren is because your daughter is not meant to have children. She's not able to have children, but she is not meant to have children. In some ways, people will say, oh, this is a physical problem. And that's why I can't have kids, or I got this and I can't have kids. No, the reason is because kids are not meant to come through you. Those souls are not meant to come through you. And that's what I said to this woman. These souls are not meant to come through your daughter. Now, here's what I want you to do because I know you bug your daughter all the time about wanting to have kids. She said, I do. I said, yeah, but the problem is your daughter has a disease that is uncurable, but she also has a disease that causes her a lot of physical pain. If you were to bug her and continue to bug her about having children, she's going to try because she's trying to please her mother. And because of that, this is going to cause her a ton of physical pain. Why would you want to do that? Just because you want grandchildren? She said, well, yeah, I want them so badly. I said, well, here's the problem the most. And I said, I'm going to be, do you want me to be very truthful? And she said, yes. I said, good. Because the problem your daughter has is going to cause her death. She's going to die and she doesn't have much time. Now, here's what would happen if she were able to have children. Uh, then the children would go to you because your daughter is going to pass away, and then you would have to raise them. And she said, "No, I don't want that. I don't want that." I said, "Well, then let this go because you're not meant to have grandchildren." But in the biggest part of it is she's not the meant to have them because this disease she has, they can't even diagnose her because she has so many different problems with this. And she said, yes, you're right. They can't diagnose her. And I said, no, she doesn't have much time here on earth. She said, how much time does she have? I said, she has 8 years. Now, wouldn't you rather just have quality time with your daughter, spending time with her, telling her how much you love being with her, instead of pondering on, I got to have grandchildren? And she said, well, I said, well, here's what I want you to do. The next time that you want your daughter to have grandchildren and you're going to tell her about it, this is what I want you to do. I want you to shut your freaking mouth. I want you to be quiet and don't say anything to her ever again because this causes such a mental stress on your daughter on top of the disease she has dealing with that. Do you think she wants to deal with that all day? I don't think she does. So I want you to shut your mouth and leave her alone and stop talking about this and enjoy the time that you have with her daughter. She said, okay. She got up and walked away. Next woman came and sat down, sat with me. I held her hand. As soon as I held her hand, that's how I do things. I see spirit animals and a lot of other things they show me. And I saw a horse standing in front of her, a white horse, and I saw angels standing around it. Now, I don't see angels like everybody else does because I see the real angels. Everyone else, if you saw what angels look like, you'd run away scared. And I saw them petting the horse. And came out of it and I said, "Ooh." And she said, "What?" I said, "I saw a horse here, a white horse with angels petting it. That's you. They're petting you because they're going to be welcoming you home soon." I said, "You don't have much time left on this earth." And she said, "How much do I have?" I said, "You have 8 years." She said, "Good, because I want to get out of here." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Because of your illness." And she said, "Yes, I'm very sick." She said, "I have an illness where like last year I bumped into a table and it broke my leg." And I said, "Yeah, nobody wants that kind of thing." I said, "They can't even diagnose you." And she said, "Yeah, I'm having a hard time with it." I said, "Well, don't worry about it. You'll be out of here in 8 years." She was so thankful for that. She stood up and gave me a hug. I said, "Well, don't, we're not done yet." And she said, "Yeah." She says, "I wish my mom would stop bugging me." And I said, "Oh, about having kids?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "That's your mom back there?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, your mom won't be bugging you anymore." But this woman was very thankful that she was leaving soon because she was in such agony her entire life. So again, when people come to me, they're going to get real answers. I'm not going to bullcrap them with a bunch of stuff that's going to go, "Oh, everything's love and light and everything's going to be wonderful and rainbows and unicorns." I don't do that because that's some bullshit. That's what it is. I give them the truth, nothing but the truth. So if you want that kind of reading, then that's who you come to. You come to me. I will do that for you. I won't bullshit you around. I know there are a lot of other mediums out there who do that, but I just don't.
That's pretty powerful. How do they, when somebody comes to you and asks these questions, they might think they're ready, right? They might be
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I'm ready." And then they
Well,
sit down with you and then they get the truth and they're like, "Whoa, I wasn't ready for that." Does it feel, I guess, does it feel like it's well received? Does it feel like it's too much? You know,
Um,
when you get,
the ones who sit down with me or the ones who know of me are already prepared for this. When I do a show up in Tucson, Arizona, I'm doing it in a couple of weeks. It's once a month. And when I'm at that show, I sit in a chair and my wife brings me people. The people who come up to my table always ask, they'll ask if I'm not busy, they will ask my wife, "What kind of reading does he give?" And then she describes the type of reading that I give. And then that way, the people who want those kinds of answers will come up and sit in front of me. If that's what they want, if they want to go to someone who's going to tell them what they want to hear, then go to someone else.
yeah,
But
yeah,
if it's something they need to hear because they're really struggling, and I get those people all the time, then they come and sit with me.
that's intense. Because I'm like, okay, I'm just putting myself in the position, right? I'm like, okay, because I'm very much, I am also no BS. I'm very much, I like people to be real with me and not all the sugar coating and stuff. And it's okay because that's what I work with the best. That's truth and being authentic. And okay, we can, whatever the situation is, and then we can move from there. But thinking about everything you're saying and getting a real answer, it's kind of scary.
You
It's
want you
kind
want
of
a real
scary.
answer? Here's a real answer for you. Let me ask real quick. Okay, you've been here 28 times. You're on your 28th lifetime, meaning you've had 27 other sets of moms and dads, brothers and sisters, dogs and cats, and 27 other astrological signs. And so out of you now you're on your 28th lifetime, and you've had 28 total astrological signs. Which one are you? You're none of them, okay? Because the truth about astrology is the first calendar was 5 months long, then it was 9 months long, then it was 10, and then it was 12, meaning they only had five signs, and then they created four more, and then they created one more, and then created two more. Okay, that's the truth of things. But but yeah, all that astrology stuff. You you are your body is born. Your soul is created, and everything that makes you you is your soul. Okay. Even your brain doesn't do anything. Your brain does one thing, it makes all the little parts work. But what controls the brain in order to make those parts work and to make the eyes turn around and do all these things? That's the soul. It's very simple. But it's guiding you in this world. It's an internal compass inside of you that's trying to get you through your life so that you will learn your lessons, so that you will fulfill your purpose, so you don't have to come back and do this over and over again. But we wake up in this world with free will as well, and sometimes we use our free will too much about ourselves, or we use it for our or ego, that thing that we learned here. Because basically, what happens is you wake up in a baby body and you're going, wow, your mom and dad's going, I'm your mom and dad. And you're going, I don't know who the hell you are, but okay. And they raise you and they teach you the ways of the world. And most of the shit that they teach you is shit. But hopefully, you wake up later on in life and you go, what's going on here is a lie. I can't live like this anymore. And then you wake up and you take that blue pill and you go, you know what? I'm not you can't look at the world the same way anymore. And you're never going to look at the world the same anymore. And you're going to learn to live outside of that world that they want to feed you all the time because they want to teach you all that pain, anger, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish, and all that stuff all the time. And you don't have to put up with it. You don't have to. I don't feel guilty when someone dies. I don't feel this sorrow and grief when someone dies. They get to go home to a perfect place. I'm still here. I don't feel bad for them. I don't do the fake, let me wish them a birthday up in heaven. They were never born in heaven. They were born here. They're in heaven. They don't have birthdays. Okay? This is all the stuff that they want to teach you here to keep you occupied so that you're not paying attention to what's really going on in this place. Wake the hell up. That's what people need to do. That's what they need to understand. Everything else is just a thing to keep you occupied. Keep you occupied so you don't really know that you have power and control over yourself. You don't have to wait for them to tell you everything. They tell you one day you can eat bacon. They tell you the next day to wear this type of shirt and those types of shoes. You know what they need to do? They need to shut the hell up. But we need to stop listening. That's what's going on in this world. And that's how I direct people to stay away from that stuff so that they can learn their lessons, get through them quickly. Because the lesson is simple. You could walk through a doorway and there's a nail in the floor and you trip over the nail. How do you learn that lesson? Well, you go get a hammer and bang it back in so you can walk through it freely the rest of your life. But not everybody does that. People trip over it 4 or 5 times. I used to work around people who tripped over it every day. I worked in prison. They were called inmates. They haven't figured out that they're not good criminals. Why? Because they keep ending up in prison all the time. Figure it out. Figure it out that maybe I'm not good at this and maybe I should start doing something a little bit better. Maybe I can go out and help people in this world. Maybe I can be one of those people that when I'm driving down the street, I see a dog in the middle of the road. I can stop and go get the dog out of the middle of the road instead of being one of those people that says, I ain't got time for that dog. I'm late for work. Well, if you're late for work, get up earlier. It's simple. Stop looking at the world like it's all about me, 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 me. And I need to take 1,000 selfies all day. Well, if you're doing that, you have a self-esteem problem. Go get that fixed. Wake up and understand that you are more in this world than just sitting around trying to put gold chains around your neck and trying to drive fast cars and try to look good in front of people. And because the best people in this world are the people who don't need to be patted on the back for this all day long. The worst people in the world are the ones who are out there in front of the cameras going, look how wonderful I am by doing this. No, you're not. You're doing it for the intention. I just call those people attention whores because that's what they are. Learn to let that go. Wake up and decide you're going to do good things in this world and you're going to be a good person in this world and try to help everyone else out there to be the same, which in turn is going to help you in the long run. And hopefully that will get you your purpose fulfilled so you can go home and get your golden ticket and go home like Willy Wonka's chocolate factory and never have to come back here again. That's what I try to do.
I love that. I love that. And I agree with when speaking of that, I agree that, like you're saying they and when you start to do the work and you start to wake up and you start to do all of this stuff and you start to see the world in a different light and you can't unsee it like you were saying before. You can't unring the bell.
Right.
You can't unsee the things. And so for somebody to want to fulfill their purpose and want to do the change and all of that, that's definitely a reason to sit down and be like, give it to me straight, give this how, especially when you've done all of this stuff and the veil is lifted for you to start seeing things how they really are, and then tuning into yourself and letting your soul guide you into where you need to be on the path that you need to be.
Absolutely. Yeah, everybody needs to wake up because if you don't, what's usually happening is either my philosophy is stand up or be owned. Because if you're not standing up and you're not standing up and away from all that, you're owned.
Yeah.
And who wants to be that? We're all slaves to this world, but you don't have to be. You have to choose to be different, but the choice is yours. Everything in your life is a choice. If you and I were best buddies and you came to me and said, Daniel, I'm having a problem with alcohol or drinking or doing drugs, I'd say, look, Shona B, I'd say, let me take you to AA or let me take you to some classes. Let me try to get you away from these drugs and alcohol. I'll take you away from all the drugs and alcohol. I'll take you away from all the bars and all that stuff, but I'll keep you away from all that stuff. But until you choose to stop drinking or choose to stop doing drugs, no matter what I say or do, isn't going to make a difference. You have to make a choice. And until you make that choice, you're just owned. So stop being owned and stand up and step away. But you have to learn to do the most important thing in this world, which is you have to start listening to your soul. People call it intuition, but it is your soul. If you want to get the true answers in this world, well, all the true answers are within you. But you have to learn to listen to what it's telling you, trust what it's telling you, and then follow through with what it's telling you to do. You can't just ask for an answer, then do nothing with it. And don't wait forever to do something with it. You get the answer, do something with it. So learn to listen, trust, and follow through. And do that for the rest of your life. Stop listening to your ego and stop listening to everyone else tell you how they think you should live your life because they don't know you. You know you, and your soul knows you better than anything. So learn to listen, trust, and follow through with that. And that will guide you into this world.
I love that. I love that. Choose yourself and listen and follow through. Hear, listen, and follow through
That's right.
yourself. That I love that. I know that you have written a book. Do you want to tell me a little bit about your book and what is all in there and where people can find it?
Didn't you read it?
I read part of it, but I didn't
Okay,
get
good
done
for
with
you.
it all. I didn't get done with it in the time that I had it.
Oh, yeah, I know. It takes a little bit. Actually, some people who read the book tell me they only read it. It takes them like 3 or 4 hours to read it. But some parts they have to go back to over and over, or I have a friend of mine who keeps going back to it all the time, which is a good thing because that's what I want them to do. But my book is called The New Beginning: My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. It's about my journey of becoming a medium. Again, I was seeing spirit my entire life, but I didn't know that I was a medium. I didn't know that I was going to become a medium. I just went through it I went through it as a human being in this human existence, experiencing everything that was going on around me. But everything it was the book is basically what happened to me and for me in order to be where I am at now. And there are many accounts in there that I talk about that I've gone through my entire life. And the book itself is 12 chapters, but the 12th chapter is what I really want them to get to. That's called the basics, and these are messages that were channeled to me from Arcangels. And these messages are here to help us to become the better versions of ourselves, and then to help other people in turn to become better versions of themselves, which helps us at the same time. But the book is like 137 pages or 138 pages. You can find it on Amazon. I just go to Amazon and you put in Daniel Jackson, The New Beginning, My Awakening as a Spirit Medium. I know it's a long title, but it is what it is. I didn't even actually pick the title of the book. My guides told me the title of the book because The New Beginning is not about me. It's about everyone else. It's about everyone else after we leave here when this place comes to an end, because it is going to come to an end. Not anytime soon, but in about 300 years. But this place will come to an end, and then we will all start on a new place, and that will be the new beginning. Even my book doesn't say the end at the end of the book. It says 2332, because that's the end. And the new beginning has to do with that as well. The 2332, if you take 23 and add it together, 2 plus 3 is 5, and you take the 32 and you add it together, 3 plus 2 is 5, and 5 and 5 together is 10, and you turn it around, what's it make? 0, 1. I'm not a mathematician. I didn't come up with that. They told me that as well. But yes, it's the story. It's all about me. There's some of my favorite readings in there that I've done in the past, and just everything that happened from me from when I was a kid all the way up until now. It's got a 5-star rating. So if you do go on Amazon and you do buy the book, and if you do like it, please put the word I'm trying to think of. What's the word I'm trying to think of, Shauna?
Rating, the star
Yeah,
rating.
yeah. Put a star rating in there. Let me know what you thought of it, because I do like to know that, and it does help. And but yeah, but I only put the book out there for $8. I'm not trying to make $1 million. I'm just not that person, you know. But I am trying to help as many people as I can. If I could help 1 million people, that would be great, you know. If I ever became famous, that would be great too. But I'm not trying to be famous, so I'm going to walk down some red carpet and stand in front of a bunch of people taking my picture. That's not what I'm about. As long as I'm being famous for being known for helping people, that's what's important to me. I'm just a real person. I'm a regular person like everyone else, living this human life, this human existence. But I have this ability. This is something I was chosen for. This is what God wants me to do. So I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it to my best ability that He gave me in order to do it. So I'm just trying to help people. That's all I want to do. I want to get them so they can get done what they're supposed to do here, so they can go home and stay in home. Like everybody wants to, they miss their family members and they want to know how they're doing. Now, again, to let everybody know, not everybody crosses over into heaven. As many people that do cross over into heaven, there's that many that don't. I will tell you, there is no such thing as a rainbow bridge. There just isn't. I see animals, dogs, cats, horses, cows, fish, in this low energy place too, but sometimes they just get lost because when you stand up out of your body, you still feel like you because you are you. And they sometimes get lost because they don't know where to go. It's weird. I see cows walking around grazing. You would think, why would they be grazing when they're in spirit? Because they are still themselves. This is what they were doing before they passed away. So they're not eating anything, but they're still grazing. So I cross them over as well. I don't just cross one spirit at a time. I cross thousands of them at a time, as much as I can. But again, not all of them want to go. But again, like I said, there's no rainbow bridge. You're not guaranteed to go into heaven. You're going to go because you want to go. So when it is your time to go, make that choice. When you see that light, just walk in. It's that simple. Don't let anything that you've done here your entire life keep you from going there. No matter how much pain, anguish, sorrow, grief, guilt, anguish you've had here, go into the light. It's that simple. And then go home. If you have to come back again, so be it. You've been here a bunch of times as it is. But hopefully you won't. So what does that mean? Go get your purpose fulfilled. Go out and help as many people as you can. In the simplest way. I was at a bank a couple of weeks ago and I was about to walk out. I saw a man coming across the parking lot and he had a walker. And I just yelled across the parking lot, being me. I said, "Hey, mister, are you coming in here?" And he said, "Yeah, but it's going to be a while." I said, "Okay, I'll wait." And he walked across and he came over. And the reason I did that is because I just came out of the bank. That door was heavy. He's going to have to prop that door open and hold it open and somehow get his walker through. And I didn't want that for him. So I stood there until he got there, and he said, "Oh, thank you very much." And I said, "Let me get the other door for you. Hold on." Then the people on the inside opened up the door for him, and they opened. I said, "Look at that! They opened it for you. That's awesome." I said, "Do you want me to wait for you?" And he's like, "Wait for me?" I said, "Yeah, until you're done. I'll wait here until you come. I'll open the door for you." "No, no, no, that's okay." That's what gets you home. It's little things like that. It's the little tiny things that we are all able to do, but we just choose not to do it. Why would you choose not to help someone who can't help themselves? What is wrong with you that you can't do that? Fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Fix that within yourself and do better in this life so that you can go home and stay home and not have to come back and do this again.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want people to do. Hopefully, if they read my book and they get to chapter 12 and they read through all those messages, maybe they will implement them into their lives and do that. That's what I hope.
Yeah. I love that you said fix that. That is, yes, I 100% agree with that. Fix that. It's
Yes.
a lot of people,
Fix
a lot
this.
of people need it. Yeah, a lot of people need to do that.
They do. We're not perfect. We're not perfect by any means,
No.
but there are things that we can manage to change in our lives. And most of those changes happen from within. So fix this first. before you go out and try to fix everything else.
Yeah, I know. That's like that's kind of a little of how along the lines of how I live, right? Is I want to try to fix here. Like I go inward and I try to fix this first before, going out. And
Yeah.
I also help others, but I don't help others with something that I haven't done myself. You
Right.
know what I mean? Like I will talk through things with people that I have done myself, but it does go back to, like you said, like with the basics and just doing the things to help people and noticing the things, like slowing down and looking and actually noticing who else is around you, what is
Yes.
going on. There is a man in a walker that is going to be coming into the bank, so I'm going to wait. Doing all of that is it seems so easy, and yet I'm confused on why it's so hard.
Yeah, people, oh, I don't have time for this. I don't have time. Like when it comes to meditation, oh, I don't have time for that. Well, you're sitting in the doctor's office for an hour waiting for him to come see you. You got an hour to kill there. Why can't you just sit and do it there?
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, just take the time. You can take the time, but you have to want to take the time.
Yes.
You have to really want to be invested in it and invested in changing yourself and not just changing yourself for everyone, changing yourself for yourself. That's where you started from. But it does take a lot of time. It does take commitment. It's not going to be easy. It is going to be hard. But what isn't in this world that's worthwhile doing, that's not hard. So take the time to do it. And once you do it, you'll get it all figured out. You'll find out all the answers to all the unanswered questions. Why wouldn't you want to do that?
Right.
Yeah, I
Right.
took the time. I mean, it took me a lot of practice and a lot of figuring out how this was going to work for me. I took the time to do that. And it's funny how when I do readings for people, they all say, oh, I wish I had your gift. I wish I had your gift. Do you? Do you want to see everything that I see?
Right.
Do you really want to experience that? I had a I was sitting in my bedroom one time in my chair, and I turned around, put my feet up on the bed, and I was going to lean back and take a nap. Now, here's types of things that I experienced. I had a man. I just closed my eyes, and there was a man in front of me, and I said, first thing, me being me, I said hello, and he looked at me. I said hi. I said, do you want to cross over? He said, no, I don't think I can. And I said, what do you mean you can't? And then when I said that, he imprinted on me a memory from him when he was alive. And this memory is I'm now him. So I feel like I'm him, almost like in a dream, but I'm awake and I can see it going on. And I see him standing there, but I'm him. So I'm looking through his eyes and I see a man run past him in an alleyway, turn around, look at him, and then point a gun at him. And then him, now me, lifts his right arm up and I see my right arm coming up, going like this, and he's got a gun in his hand and he shoots and kills him. And then back out of me. And I said, oh, you just killed that guy. And he said, yeah, I did. That's why I don't think I can go. And I was like, well, wait a minute. But I get a sense that's coming from you that this was self-defense. He said, yeah, he was chasing me. And so I didn't want to get hurt by him. So I shot him instead. So I don't think I can go. And I said, no, you can go. You can go. Anybody can go. You just have to want to go. But he also had a fear within him that it was possibility he was going to have to come back and live another life again. They know where they are. He knows what he's doing. Now, at that moment, I did know he was going to have to come back again because I can find that out about for anybody if they have to come back again. So he would have to come back again, but he didn't want to do that either. I said, "You sure you don't want to go?" He said, "No, I'm okay," and he walked away. Here's the problem with that. That thing that he imprinted on me, that memory, is now my memory. I feel as though I did that. I know I didn't, but I sure do feel like I did. Do you want that?
Yeah.
So when I say I'm open to everything, I'm not kidding.
Hmm.
You have to be okay with that. I'm not really okay with that, but it's part of what I do. In order to get the connection I have, to get answers, I was more concerned in trying to help this man, but he put that on me. I didn't know he was going to do that. He just did it because they do things so quickly. But then again, I was once sitting one time. I also do something else I don't have control over. It's called remote viewing. It just turns on for me. But I saw a dog in front of me, and the dog was playing with two people, a woman and a man, and I thought I was remote viewing at the time, but I wasn't. So the dog was playing with this woman and leaning up against her, and she was petting him, and then this man was throwing a ball, and he was going to catch it, and back and forth, and I won a couple times, and all of a sudden it stopped. That all went away, and then there was a dog standing in front of me, and the dog said to me, "When is my mommy and daddy coming home?" This dog had passed away and wanted to know when his mom and dad were going to die and come home.
Oh,
So he put his memory on me for that, and I can still picture the dog in front of me. And I just told him, I said, it's not time for them to go home yet, but they will. Just wait. It won't be too long. But now I can still see that in my mind as well. That one was a good one, but not all of them are good. So when someone says to me, I wish I had your gift, and then I start explaining some of those things to you, they quickly retract that statement. They don't. It's not everything they crack it up to be. They think it's all. It's going to be rainbows and unicorns, and it's going to be all the one. They want all the cool parts of my gift. They don't want the actual reality of it. And the reality of it is hard. It's hard, but it's not meant for everybody. So don't think you can go to a college course and take some class on intuition and think you're now going to become a psychic medium, because you either have this or you don't. Because some of us are meant to be teachers. Everyone else is just meant to be a student. Don't worry about being a teacher all the time. It's okay to be a student. So hopefully you'll learn some things, then go home and stay home and not have to come back and do this again.
mhm.
That's what it's about. But it's not always easy.
Yeah.
You have to be able to deal with that. And if you think you can't deal with that hard stuff, don't even try.
Yeah. That's very interesting. It's very
It's
interesting.
it's difficult at best.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I can try to imagine, but I have no clue because I don't have experience like what
You
you
don't,
experience and see. I have no clue. I
yeah,
have
you
no
don't want
clue.
to. There's-
Mm-mm.
I get to talk to archangels every day. I don't take that for granted. I'm not one bit, but it comes with a price. And
Mhm.
that price is sometimes hard.
Mhm.
And if you're not one who can deal with that hard stuff, then you don't really want what you wish for.
Right.
It ain't like it is on the ghost TV shows,
Right.
because they get to walk away from that place. I don't get to walk away from this. I
Hmm.
am this. This is what I am. This is who I am for the rest of my life. And this is what I'll be doing with it to help people. And that is a good part of it.
Hmm.
But if you think you want this, I'm telling you, you don't.
Yeah, it's intense. It's a
Yeah,
lot. It is a lot.
it is.
Well, I love all of the messages and the things that you shared today. We really went there, and I really appreciate you sharing these readings and sharing what you're about and sharing what you see and what you have gone through. And just what I really like is that you really use this to help people, but not only in the physical, you also you help beings cross over and ask, and just you use your whole gift for that. And so
Yeah,
I am grateful for that. I'm grateful for you being here and doing that.
I don't get paid for that part. That's for sure.
Right. This
Yeah,
is like you
but
said,
it's
it's just
okay.
who you are. It's who you are and how you are in this world.
Yep.
So I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you do, and I love everything that you said today, and I really appreciate you coming on here and sharing all of that with us.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add or say or
Can I shamelessly plug something?
sure, go ahead.
If people are looking for me and not just want to get a reading with me, but they can also find me. I have a podcast on a brand new spiritual streaming network. It's called newrealitytv.com. It's Awaken to Your New Reality. It just went live a couple of weeks ago. As for now, it's free, and you can go on there and check out a lot of the videos as well as mine. As my show is Beyond the Veil with Daniel Jackson. Me. That's how I started, kind of kooky. But yeah, you can find me on there. There's other practitioners on there. There's some cooking shows on there. I know there's a couple of live shows on there. But my show airs, I think 4 times on Mondays. But for now, it's free. Very soon, it's going to be like all the other streaming networks. It goes to a paying platform, but the paying platform is very reasonable as well. But they're not going to start that for a couple months. You can find that at newrealitytv.com. And like I said, you can find my book on Amazon. You can find me on Facebook on the Spirit Medium Daniel group. I'm very active in that group. People come in and ask questions all the time, and I just answer them. If they want to get a reading, they can go to spiritmediumdaniel.com. What else? What else am I doing? Well, I'm not doing much else except working on episodes for this podcast show that I do. I'm very busy with that, but I still have time to answer people. But if you are one of those people who is having this kind of issue, like I had, and you have no one else to reach out to, you can always reach out to me and I'll try to help you. You can just email me at daniel@spiritmediumdaniel.com. And if there's any questions that I can answer for you beyond just getting a full-on reading, you can just email me there and I'll help you with that.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for meeting with me today and sharing all of this goodness and where people can find you. I will put all of those links also in the show notes so people can just click it and get to where they can find you on all of those places.
I do have one last bit of advice for everybody.
Yeah.
Be good and don't do any stupid shit.
I love that. Favorite, be good and don't do any stupid shit.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much, Daniel, for being here with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to today's episode. I hope you enjoyed the conversation, learned something new, or got some gems to take away that will boost your week. I release a new episode each week, so make sure to click that follow button to not miss what is coming next. If you love the show or want to share a story, send me a quick message. I love hearing from listeners. If you know someone who needs this episode in their life, go ahead and share it with them. I'm sure they would love you for it. If you are looking to connect more, check out the show notes for all the social links, my website. I would love to hear how this episode helped you and what you loved about it. If there's a topic you want to hear about, send that too. All right, ladies, now is the time to release your inner power. If you're ready to break free from burnout and create a life that actually feels good, I've got you covered. You can work with me in a few ways. Join my monthly membership for ongoing support, dive into my workshops for quick breakthroughs, book coaching sessions for personalized guidance, or go all in with my Revive and Recharge Your Life coaching program to build a foundation for lasting change. No matter where you are on your journey, there is a path for you, my friend. Let's get started. DM me or check the link in the show notes to get more information.